So my wife was always wanting me to make things for her for the house. And here it is getting close to Christmas, and I think she's expecting me to make something for her for Christmas. Because every time I go in the shop here lately, she's asking me if I'm making her something. And here it is 3 days before Christmas, and I don't have anything. I've been racking my brain for a couple of weeks now trying to come up with something. But this morning I was watching her make coffee, and it gave me an idea. She's really into these things called skinny syrups. You can get all different kinds of flavors, and they're in these little pump bottles. And I was thinking she could probably use some kind of a display. I was going to kind of do a rack to hang on the wall, but then I got an idea to make a turntable to go on the countertop here. I can put them in a circle and she can spin it around and pick what she wants. And that way they don't have to be piled up like this on the countertop. I'll make a real nice turntable display and see how it turns out. So I'm back at home now, and I'm up in my office working on the layout for this turntable. I went to Lowe's earlier today and got some ideas and bought some stuff I needed and got the measurements I need. So I've been up here for a couple of hours working on the design. I didn't record it because I got kind of frustrated with the program because I hadn't used it in so long. I forgot a lot of stuff, but here's the design anyway, and it's going to be made out of wood, 3/4 inch white pine. I wanted to use red oak, but it's so expensive, it's ridiculous. But you got the circular design here, and so I've got inner and outer rings, and then these little red rings here are the cutouts where the bottles will sit. So what it's going to do is the router will cut out the design. This program just lays out the design, and then it creates the G code you need for the router so it understands what it's got to do. And so here's the 3D view of it. So you can see right here how it's 3/4 inch wood, and then you can see it drops down a 1/2 inch. And then these little pockets right here for the bottles, I'm going to bevel the edges so the bottles can sit down and have like a little lip to sit on. That's what I want to do anyway. Well, let's see what it does when I'm going to do a practice piece and see how it turns out. But I've got it all done now, and I've got to export it out and get my G code set up and put into the router so I can get this thing done. So after walking around Lowe's for about an hour and a half, I came across this light here, and I like the design of it. It's a perfect size, plus it has a nightlight mode. I thought that'd be pretty interesting. That way you won't have to have the bright light on all the time. You can switch it to the nightlight mode. So here's the light fixture out of the box, and the wires come out the bottom on it because it's a ceiling mount light. So what I'm going to have to do is pull the wires back inside and probably drill a hole out the side to put the extension cord in. And I'm going to put one of those little rocker switches on it, because that's how you switch it from regular mode to night mode, is you flip it off, the power off, and then flip it right back on real quick, and it switches to night mode. But the way this is going to work is I got this little Lazy Susan turntable thing, and it's going to mount right there. And then I'll take this piece of plexiglass, and it'll be cut round to the same size as the turntable's going to be. And then right here's the practice piece I've done to make sure I have my settings set right for the holes in the cutout. So it's going to sit right on there, and then the bottles will sit in these holes, and the light can shine up through the little pump bottles, and it'll light up the bottles because they're all different colors. You know, there's blue and red and pink and all different colors, so it should look pretty interesting. But this is my design, and I'm going to start cutting it out here in a minute, and I hope it works out. So here's my piece of wood that I'm going to cut the turntable out of. It's 2 pieces of white pine stain grade glued together to make it big enough. And you can see here I've got a piece of foam core. Some people call it artboard. But I put that underneath it because when I cut this, parts of it are going to go all the way through. And that way it'll cut into that board instead of the router table bed. I try to avoid that as much as possible. I've got my G-code files loaded in and ready to go. So I'm going to set this thing up on a time lapse, because this first cut's going to take 22 minutes, and that's going to be a little long to sit and watch it cut. Well, I ran into some technical difficulties. I forgot to turn my heater on. Wasn't thinking about the blower running too, and it kicked the breaker and everything went down. So I'm waiting on my computer to boot back up. I'll have to start back over. Only bad thing about the computer shutting down is I can't start where it stopped right here. I have to do the whole process again. But the good thing is I was only that far into it, so it won't take too long. Holy cow, what a mess I've made. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. That's a lot of wood shavings. That turned out real good. It don't look like it because of all these little lines, but it looks like it cut uneven, but really it didn't. With white pine, for some reason, it leaves a little line of fuzzy things on one side of the cut, and you can just scrape them off. What little bit's left is, you know, I can sand it out, so it ain't no big deal. But now I gotta get started on the next cut, which is going to be the holes. Well, I screwed up big time. So right there is a perfect example of why I use that foam core underneath the what I'm cutting, because I went completely through the wood and into the foam core. So what I was wanting to do was use this rounded cutter and put a bevel on the bottom of the hole where the bottles are going to sit. But now I'm going to have to change my design completely on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a straight cutter in it, because I don't have any choice now, because it's already put a straight cut on that. And I'll have to just do them all that way. So I guess that's one of the bad things with trying to do everything and record it at the same time, is you forget what you're doing and you miss steps, and it causes problems. So you got to set the cutter height by going down till you just barely touch the wood. And then you have to go in and zero your height. That's what I forgot to do a while ago. So it causes you problems. So I guess we'll start this and over and try it again. See there, I've messed up again. It's been so long since I used it, I'm forgetting steps. I'm going to have to be a little more careful. But I forgot to change it from a 1/2 inch cutter to a 1/4 inch end mill cutter. So you can see right there, it's about an 1/8 inch off. So I have to go back in and change it to an end mill cutter and start cutting again. Well, it's about time something go right. I've screwed up everything I've tried to do. So now my next step will be to cut this final cut right here, and it will put a bevel right here on this side if I don't screw it up. And then I'll have to do the outside cut that cuts all the way through. And this thing will be done except for sanding it. And I've got the program set up to drill a hole dead center. And I'm thinking about using that to put it in my wood lathe. And that way I'll know exactly where center's at. And I can put it in the wood lathe and do some final touch-ups on this edge here. Maybe sand it off or round it or something. And then I'm either going to put a clear high gloss stain on it, a hard polish, or I may stain it some other color. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So I'm going to get my cutter changed out and do this bevel edge. Okay, so I've got everything zeroed out this time, and I've got the right cutter in there this time. So hopefully I won't screw it up. I'm going to get it started here. Well, that turned out really good. The only thing I see is a little bit of fuzz in that bottom corner, but that'll sand out. That's the way it was supposed to turn out right there, so I'm happy with that. I'm glad that's over with. That thing is really loud on that spiral cutter. It vibrates and buzzes and makes the awfulest noise there ever was. But I'm going to try to get it out of here and see how it looks. Yeah, it ain't gonna take much cleanup at all, just a little bit of sanding. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Get these edges beveled over and get it sanded real good. It's gonna turn out really good. So when you're cutting plexiglass, you have to cut a little bit slower because it chips really bad. So it's gonna take a while. I'll probably do a time lapse on this also. Okay, there it is. That's done. The plexiglass all cut out. I won't have to do anything to this except, mount it to the turntable and the light. But this edge right here where it's frosted looking, when the light shines up through it, it's going to make this edge glow. So it should give it a pretty neat effect. So now I can actually show you how it goes together. Something to make a little bit more sense. So I was talking about this Lazy Susan earlier. So that goes on there. And then the plexiglass will go right here. And then this mounts there. So you can just turn it like that right there. I was really discouraged at the beginning of this because I was making some mistakes, but now I'm feeling really good about it. If I don't screw up something else between now and getting it done, it's going to turn out really good. Well, I got the turntable all sanded last night, and I decided to go ahead and paint it black. I put a sealer on the wood and then put 4 coats of gloss black paint on it. So it turned out really good. But now that I'm getting ready to put it together, I'm running into another problem. So I'm going to have to find dead center on this thing. And I've found center on the light fixture itself. But it also means that this turntable, or this Lazy Susan bearing, is going to have to be centered perfectly. Because if not, it's going to wobble as it turns. So I can't find my compass divider, so I'm going to have to come up with another solution. Okay, so here's the easiest way that I've found to find the exact center of a circle. So you take your circle and a piece of paper and just take a pencil and draw a circle on it. And then you take your paper and then you cut the circle out. So then what you do is you take your paper and fold it in half, and then you fold it over again. And then you take your scissors and you snip out the very corner. So what that does, gives you perfect center. So now that you've found the center of your object that you're working on and the center of your paper, I'm going to highlight the center a little better so I can see it. So see how it made that little diamond shape in the middle? Just take it and lay it across the square, the X in the middle on your object you're working on. And then take your marker and go around it and try not to move your paper. I probably should have just taped this down to make sure I didn't move it, but okay. So that should be perfect center right there. And then you just take your other workpiece and match up the circle. And that should be dead center right there. This little swivel bearing thing here, I bent these edges down just a little bit because this light is a dome shape, and that way it'll sit on there a little bit better. It won't move and wiggle around while I'm trying to screw it down. So I got it all lined up, and then I'm going to take these self-tapping screws and screw it into the light. It popped down there, so after I get it all done, I'll pop it back up. Well, I don't even know what to say about that. I knew better than doing that. I did it anyway. I was running out of time, so I thought I'd just put some screws in it, and that'd be the end of it. I planned on gluing it down from the very start, and I just got too rushed and made a big mistake. So I've been sitting up here in my office for about 2 hours trying to think what I was going to do, because I can't buy another one. Lowe's is closed because it's Christmas Eve. So I've just got to come up with something. I'm just going to have to get back down there and figure it out. So I've been debating how I was going to attach the plexiglass to the turntable, but you know, the plexiglass is pretty slick and there's not a whole lot of stuff sticks to it. So I think I've decided what I'm going to do is sand it with 320 grit sandpaper, and then use Gorilla Glue and attach them. And then on the bottom side where the plate goes, I'll probably just sand a little circle in the middle, the size of that plate, because there's no point in sanding all the way out here. I don't want to lose any of the light effect coming up through it, but it won't hurt it on top because that'll actually disperse the light a little bit better. I think that's going to work out really good. That's going to give it a good frosted effect. It should make the light spread out more even. So I'm going to clean it with alcohol and try to glue it on. It's crazy how you wipe alcohol on it and it looks like you sanded it for nothing. Then after it dries, you can see it again. Just evaporates off. Okay, so I've got a change in plans here. I was getting ready to use this Gorilla Glue and I noticed it was the original formula, which is a foaming formula. It expands when it dries, and that would cause the wood and the plexiglass to separate, and that wouldn't be very good. And I was looking through my boxes and found this thing of JB Weld plastic bonder, and it works on pretty much anything. It works on metal and glass and wood, and so I'm going to use it. And probably what I'm going to do is just put some little dabs here between every one of these dots, and then put some in here, and then set it on there and set some weight on it just to hold it in place. And the reason I drilled these holes in there, and it's in the plastic too, is I'll put a drill bit through it to guide me in the right place. So when I first got this light, I really didn't know how it was made inside, and what I was planning on doing was running the wires out through the side of the frame, you know, drilling a hole and run it out. But after I look at it, the way this is made, it's got a bunch of little LED lights in here. So what I was thinking about after I seen that was maybe run them up through these holes where it was supposed to bolt into the ceiling. But if I do that, then the wire's going to run across these and it's going to block the light. So I don't want to do that either. So what I'm going to have to do is just come underneath, cut the wires off right here somewhere. And then this is the extension cord I got. And I'll just use crimp terminals on it. And then I'll just hot glue it down. And I'm going to put rubber feet around the bottom of it and raise it up about a 1/2 inch anyway. So that'll give plenty of clearance for this cord to go underneath. And since this cord don't have a ground wire in it anyway, so I'm just going to take this off. I don't need it. And that way I can have a little bit more room under here. And then those rubber feet should hold it up high enough where that cord will come underneath it. So that's the only way I know how to do it right now. So here's the little rubber pads that I was talking about. Little Scotch pads. They're self-stick, so I'll probably just put them right over top of these screw holes so I can get them all same distance apart. Don't need that. So now I'm going to glue my wires down. There's a lot of things I'd like to done different on this, but like I said, I'm running out of time. I got a late start on it. I couldn't come up with exact thing what I wanted to do for it until last minute. And like I was saying before, here it is. Now it's 2 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning. So I don't have a lot of options to do to get it done. So, but I'm getting close. It's almost done. Okay, so putting a rocker switch into a cord like this, they're really a pain in the butt. But what you got to do is split your wire. And because you got this one section of the switch where it just continues through, and what you want to do is pull your wire apart far enough where where you can do that right there. And then these two, this one right here, you just cut it. So what makes it so difficult is they don't give you a whole lot of room between the hole where it goes in to where your lug is. And there's not enough room to put a little eyelet on the end of the wire either, so that makes it a little more difficult too. So you just judge how much wire you're actually going to need. I've always hated these things. But in this situation, it's the only choice I got. Okay, I got the switch hooked up. So now here's the moment of truth. Hope nothing blows up. So here we go. Holy cow. Now that's bright. And this switch here is supposed to change the color temperature. Oh. Well, that's pretty cool. I think we'll go with the bright white. So, at least it works. So, I'm one step closer. Well, we're moving into the final stretch here. I've got the glue already put on here. I had a hard time getting the glue to open up because it's a little old, so it was stopped up in the nozzle. So let me set this thing on here and let's see what it looks like. Okay, here we go. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think it turned out pretty good. Now I just hope my wife likes it. Well, as you've seen when I was putting these screws in to mount the turntable on, you've seen that I cracked it. And I thought I'd destroyed it, but I sat for a long time last night trying to think of a way to fix it. So what I wound up doing was putting plastic weld on the crack, and then I found this this little safety guard off of a heat lamp, and I bent it to the right height so it sits, so it'll come out right here on this plate that goes around. And then I poured epoxy in there. So the epoxy is going to reinforce it by itself anyway, but I put this in there for an extra support. So this should be plenty strong enough now, and it's not going to affect the light, so that should help it. So I'm going to put this thing together and show you what it looks like on the counter now. So I got it together, got it snapped into place. and that worked. It's plenty strong enough now. So this is one major disaster averted. I almost destroyed Christmas. So I'm gonna get the thing plugged up, and I'm gonna get these bottles put on it before she gets it down here this morning and show you what it looks like. I couldn't be happier with the way this turned out, especially after it breaking on me, and I was so disheartened last night trying to think of a way to fix this thing, but there it is. What do you guys think about it? Let me know.